In this video, I'm going to cover some problems you may encounter while you're working with HTML and some ways that you can go about troubleshooting them. You'll notice that I have my index page loaded here in Text Wrangler, and in the side here, a very nice feature of Text Wrangler is that you can see all the files that you have currently open. So I went ahead and opened the links in the resume page in case we need to work on those as well. So if I go over to the browser and look at the page, I've refreshed this page, and you can see that there are some problems. There's a missing image, and it looks like we have a weird indentation here because this should be aligning with the rest of the text over here. If we go through and we test our links, for some reason the links page no longer works, and if we click on the University of Texas at Austin, that page no longer works. And down here at the bottom, for some reason, the table that we created is supposed to be here, and it's showing up at the very bottom of the page. So first of all, the thing to do when you are troubleshooting is first things first. Just focus on one problem, solve it, refresh it, and then come back and solve the next problem. So let's take a look at this image. We go into the code and we find where the image is located. I can see that the source is Cindy, and the source needs to have an extension. And I know from my folder where that information is located that my file is called cindy.jpg. So I'm going to come over here and change that to .jpg and save it and refresh. And now the picture has returned. Yay. So that's one problem solved. The second one is we noticed that all the paragraphs here are indented in a strange way. Everything should really be, all the text should really be aligned with the H1 here. And we can make indents and layout later when we have CSS, but I know that there's a problem here if I see this kind of indentation. And if I go into the code and look, I can see that my UL here for the navigation is opened, but I never close it. So even though these aren't list items, the page reads it like everything else is still in this list. So every tag you open, you must close. So I'm going to close this tag and save that and refresh. And now everything is aligned the way it's supposed to be aligned. Now we also found that the link doesn't work any longer. And I know that my page is called links.html that I want it to link to, but the problem is actually on the index page. On the index page, for some reason, we changed this to link, and that's not the same word. It's not the same file name. We need it to be links just like the file it's linking to. So let's save that and refresh, and now this links page should work from the index page. There was not a problem on any of the other pages. If I go to the links page, that links is still links. If I go to the resume page, the links page still works from there. So you have to be very careful that you are troubleshooting on the page that is actually having the problem. So back to the home page. One thing I want to point out to you in the HTML is we have resume spelled here with a capital R, and over here it's spelled with a lowercase r. If I come over to the HTML and click on it, it still works when it's on my computer because on the Mac it's not case sensitive. However, when I upload these files to the web, this will not work. The web is case sensitive, and so a capital R and a lowercase r are not the same thing. So if you find that your links were working locally but not on the web, it's probably because you have a capital. So I'm going to get rid of the capital letter there just to make sure I have no problems in the future. So refresh. Let's go back to the home page, refresh that. And we then have the problem where the University of Texas link was no longer working. So if I come in here and I look where I have that link, and it's also helpful to see where it's going when you click on it. Even though it doesn't work, I see here that it says file and it's looking for something locally here, or if it's on the web and it's making this mistake, it'll look like it's looking for a file on your website. So that means you did not put the HTTP:// here. Let's save that and refresh back on the index page. And this should now work when we click on it. Now it goes to the University of Texas home page. And the last problem that we had was, for some weird reason, this table is supposed to be showing up here with my other favorite entertainment options, but it's at the bottom of the page. And this is a common problem, can be hard to troubleshoot because you're like, well, I've got it right here in the page where it's supposed to be. But again, close every tag you open. The table tag is opened up here, and everything in the table is supposed to be surrounded by the table tag. You must close it. You don't think that's the kind of thing that would cause the entire table to move to the bottom of the page, but in fact it is. So refresh that, and now that's in the right place. Another common problem that you will probably encounter is the failure to close quotation marks that you have open. Remember, all the values of our attributes are enclosed in quotation marks, but if for some reason you forget to close a quotation mark, strange things can happen. So I'll demonstrate that by taking out the quotation mark after links.html in our navigation list. So if I save this and come back here and refresh the page, you'll see that the item for link in our navigation bar is no longer there, and some strange things are happening within the paragraph. So you'll just go back, you have to have an eagle eye and see, check all your pairs, open, close, open, oops, forgot to close it. So fix that and refresh. If you were to forget the quotation mark down here with the table, so in the table, if at the end we forgot to put it after the width value of 400, if we save that and refresh, you'll see that the complete table is now gone. So anytime something's gone or something's showing up in a weird place, the likely culprit is forgetting to close a quotation mark. So let's save this and refresh and come back, and now the table is there. And then one final problem, again, we've talked about closing every tag you open. If we say forgot to close this link A tag here, we'll save it and see what that does and refresh. And you can see now just about everything else in the paragraph is underlined, and really on the rest of the page is underlined like it's a link. So this is a sure sign that you have forgotten to close a link tag somewhere. So I'll come back here and replace that and save it and refresh. Now remember, if you're making changes on things that are repeated on other pages, you probably have to go back to those pages to change them if they still have the same problem in them. And on every page that you're on, test every link, test everything to make sure that it works properly so that you can make sure that your site works well and that you get all the points on this project. Troubleshooting is a fact of life when you're doing web design. You have to be patient, you have to have tenacity, and just know the truth is out there. So stay with it, and over time you'll get better in identifying some of the common problems that occur when you're developing a website.